What's up, everybody? Welcome to Bios3 Raw TV. I can't even believe that I haven't told this story time yet. So today we got a little story time. And for those of you who and I got people contacting me going, Jerry, you really should take that story time down because you broke so many laws that you talk about it. There's a statute of limitation. Even fucking, murder and attempted murder. If you're not charged within a year and a fucking day, there's a statute of limitation on shit. Shit that I did 25 fucking years ago that, let's face facts, this is YouTube. I'm not under oath in the court of law. Nobody knows if I'm fucking telling the truth or not. You're not going to be fucking charged with the fact that you may have bought some fucking heroin 25 years ago, okay? Let's just get past that. Besides, this is for entertainment purposes only. So let's just get that shit out of the way. Now, this story time takes place, 2001 maybe? Somewhere around there. Fuck, I don't even know what year it was. But anyways, so I was in the midst of my drug addiction. And it was pretty bad. And it was towards the end of the opiate type thing that was happening. I don't know if it was heroin, I think it was Oxycontin at the time. And me and my ex, this was way back, decided that we're going to detox ourselves off of the opiates by using ketamine. Now at the time, ketamine was not a controlled substance. It was like this gray area that, it wasn't necessarily, you couldn't be charged with ketamine. But it was a veterinarian product. It wasn't, pharmaceutical. Couldn't get it from a doctor at the time. I don't even know if you get it from a doctor now. But what we did is we ordered literally, I think it was 50 bottles, 30 to 50 bottles. Those little fucking vials of ketamine, 10 cc's. I don't remember what the dosage milligram was on it. We got them shipped in, and we were at my parents' house. We lived in downstairs. It was an apartment at my parents' house. It was a two-family house. And I don't know if anybody's ever watching has ever done ketamine, but if you inject this stuff IV, it hits you like a fucking sledgehammer right in the face. And you'll be walking, and all of a sudden you'll hit that K-hole, and you'll literally be just completely fucking frozen. And my dad had found me like that a couple times, completely frozen. The idea was, while you're detoxing off the opiates, which is fucking very painful and excruciating, you could kind of zonk yourself out into another state of mind with the ketamine. That was the idea. And then ketamine was not physically addictive at the time. That's what I thought. And I didn't have a physical addiction to ketamine. I could just stop using it and it didn't affect me. So the idea was to use enough ketamine so you didn't feel the withdrawals. Now, couldn't tell my parents this because how do you tell your parents that you're a drug addict, that you're on heroin, that you're going to try to detox yourself? You can't really, that's a conversation I didn't want to have with my parents. So my idea was to use the ketamine, zonk ourselves out, and they'll never notice. Well, this is the mind of a drug addict. They'll never notice. They'll never notice you in a fucking K-hole for about 2 weeks. They're going to notice you in a K-hole for 2 weeks. You're going to act strange. You're going to talk strange. You're going to do some weird shit. Let's face facts. So I do remember guing in the bathroom one day, and I, shot the ketamine, and I was in the bathroom, and everything was the same color, but it turned into a different place. I guess I started to trip out. The bathtub wasn't in front of me. It was way down a fire. The place was huge. It was a huge hallway, but everything was just fucking so strange. So I got to the point where my parents figured out, we were fucked up. And they told us flat out, they're look, you can't fucking do this. We got your younger brother here. There's fucking kids in the neighborhood. You're all fucked up. You guys are on your own. You need to get the fuck out. And they threw us out. And, what we decided to do was go to a motel, which was not very far from where my parents lived. Go to a motel. We called a couple of friends that were going to hang out with us and fucking keep track of us. And just stay in this motel room and fucking literally ride it out. Just shoot ourselves fucking silly with ketamine. Ride out the fucking detox. When we weren't sick anymore from, I don't know how we were going to figure out when we weren't sick anymore from the opiate withdrawals. We would just stop using the ketamine, clean up our fucking act, and go about our lives and everything would be good. That was the plan. And we get to this motel, and I distinctly remember, this is the fucking most awful feeling I ever had in my life. I had shot enough ketamine to put myself in a state where I was conscious, but couldn't control my body. So it's kind of like a K-hole. And I actually wound up on the floor. Now, the people we were with, they're doing ketamine too. They're doing it for fun. I'm laying on the floor in this hotel room, not being able to move. Barely being able to fucking think. But it was weird because your mind is kind of clear. It's just strange. Your body just doesn't want to work. You don't feel any pain. Everything is numb. And I remember thinking, holy shit, that last shot did it. I actually shot myself retarded. That's what I actually thought. It sounds funny. Some people may laugh at it, but I actually thought that I pushed my brain to the brink and I was now mentally handicapped from the drugs that I had used. Like that's the point that I got into. And you know, I remember getting up out of that keyhole and being like, oh fuck, wow, I guess I'm not retarded, and then shooting more. You know, and my ex was laying on the bed, she was all fucking zooped up, and a couple friends sitting in the chairs, and they were talking and stuff. And we hear a on the door. Without even thinking, because I can't think straight, I open the door, and there I see someone from my gym, Officer Benson. Yes, a police officer. My mom had actually called the police. They drove by the motel, and they saw my car, or Chrissy's car, out front. And they instantly called the police and said, here's the situation. They're on drugs. We don't know if they're going to fucking overdose. We're worried about them. Can you do a wellness check? The police told them we could do a wellness check, but if they say that they're okay and they're fine, they're above age, we don't see any drugs or anything, like, it doesn't matter if they're acting weird. They could have been drunk. Like, we can't do anything. As I open the door, Benson's standing there. I have the fucking needle and the vial of ketamine in my hand. And he looks at me and he goes, Jerry, put the needle down. I said, okay. And I was all fucked up, but I was like happy. And I was like, I don't feel the pain of the withdrawals. I put the stuff on the table. He said, can you step back? So I step back. He walks in. 2 more officers walk in with him. Obviously, there's drugs there. I'm acting fucked up. My ex is on the bed. She's all fucked up. Our 2 friends are in the chairs. They're like, what the fuck? She says, looks at me and goes, Jerry, what's wrong with her? And I said, oh, you know, she's fucked up. I explained to him, we were on opiates and we're trying to get off and we're using the ketamine. And he was like, holy shit. So he said, where's the rest of the drugs? And I pointed at the pillow. I said, they're in the pillow case underneath her head. There's the rest of the drugs. So he walks over, he pulls like the, 5 vials or whatever else we had out of there. So they confiscate all that stuff. And he said, Jerry, turn around, put your hands behind your back. So I did. And he handcuffed me. And he said, I'm going to take Jerry, you take this girl, you take those 2 people, and, we're going to bring them down. So he actually, I was sobering up in the car ride there to the police station, handcuffed in the back. And this Officer Benson, who I'd known from the gym, was a friend of mine from the gym, was like, listen, I'm not going to tell anybody at the gym about this. This is between us. He's like, you need to get your fucking life together. And he said, it's not too late. He said, my sister is a reformed heroin addict. She's in recovery. She's doing great. She's got her life back, but you need to fucking figure out what you want to do. So I get to the police station, and now, mind you, I'm like 230 pounds. I mean, I'm not like a fucking strung out drug addict, and people looking at me like, what the fuck? Even the officers, the fucking people that are doing the intake, they take your belt, they take your earrings, they take your fucking shoelaces, they throw you in this fucking cell with a metal toilet on a mat on the floor. It's cold. They flat out tell you, like, you're going to be arraigned in the morning. You'll probably get personal recognizance, but we're going to have a talk with you. So they interrogate my ex and me and, our friends. They put us in this interrogation room, ask us, they have the vials in a fucking Ziploc bag, ask us, where do we get them? So there's a fucking website on them. This is back in the day when the internet just started. So you fucking contact that website, pay them your fucking credit card, these things show up on your doorstep from Mexico like fucking 5 days later. They were like, holy shit. And they're like, but we can't even fucking do anything because it's not a controlled substance. Eventually ketamine wound up being controlled, but this was like the Tokyo brand, like back in the day when it, first came around. And I sat in that cell and I looked around and I was like, it was like an 8x10 cell. It was just me sitting in there. They separated us all. I said, what the fuck am I doing? Like, I need to fucking really think about what the fuck is going on. Now, luckily, that night, the bail bondsman was done with his dinner and decided to come back to the station to see if anybody needed help. Excuse me. I paid the personal recognizance fee for me and my ex. We got out. My parents came to pick us up. I knew that they'd called. They told us. The next day we had to be arraigned. And I had a public attorney because I couldn't afford an attorney at the time. He's telling me I'm looking up to 90 days to 3 years in jail due to collateral damage. I don't know what the fuck he was talking about. So I'm looking and I'm like, I can go to jail for 3 years for being a fucking drug addict? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, fuck, maybe I need another lawyer. I don't know about this guy. We get to, court and the arraignment happens there. I have to go back for your trial, hearing, whatever the fuck it was. And the judge flat out said, like, you got no priors. You have, everything going for you. You're young, you're athletic, you're sharp, because of course now I'm cleaned up, I'm in court. You're sharp, like you're not a criminal. I'm going to give you like a year suspended sentence. There was no community service, there was nothing like that. Stay out of trouble for this year, we'll wipe it clean, and that'll be that. I kind of walked away with that going, I got a second chance, like fuck. And that's when the wheel started turning, because I hadn't fully gotten through the opiate withdrawals yet. And I went back to Oxycontin pills, not injecting them, but taking Oxycontin pills just to get through the fucking day. And the Oxycontins eventually ran out, and I went on heroin, and heroin was the big one where it was like things just got completely out of control. But it was at that point I knew that this shit was going in a bad direction, and it wasn't going to end fucking any easy way, and it wasn't going to end any good way, and it fucking needed to be done. And it took me a long time to figure out, you know, inside me, like, what the fuck? Why am I doing this? Why am I living this lifestyle? You know, I'm getting fucking arrested. I'm fucking involved in drugs. I'm fucking, you know, having shit sent to me from fucking Mexico. Like, what the fuck? Like, my life was a goddamn fucking mess. But that, you know, that wake-up call sitting in a cell, there were people that were there, officers, the intake officer, the dispatcher. They would actually come to my cell because Benson told them that he knew me. They would actually come to my cell and say stuff like, you know, have you ever thought about becoming a police officer? You know, have you ever thought about doing this? Have you thought about doing that? And I'm looking at them going, I'm a fucking drug addict sitting in a jail cell, and you're asking me if I want to be a fucking cop? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And what it boiled down to was I saw for the first time, because I was all against police, against cops. I was against all that shit when I was younger. I was a fucking rebel. I wanted to disobey everybody. And I looked at a group of people that may be wearing badges and uniforms, but looked at me not for what they saw, but who I was based on what Benson had told them. And when I had sobered up, the discussions that we had, they brought me food. You know, they were super nice to me when they didn't have to be. I said, you know, these people are not judging me based on my actions or what I look like. These people are basing me on how I'm acting right now, how I'm being respectful. There's my rice cooker going off in the background. How I'm being respectful and what I could do in the future. And they actually care, because if they didn't, they wouldn't even fucking bother. And, you know, it was an eye-opener to know that people care about you that don't even fucking know you. You know, when there's, you know, a big underlying message to you that people don't care, and that's why you're doing drugs, it's kind of an eye-opener. So that's my story time, the time that I got arrested for narcotics. Nothing happened because of the fact that it wasn't a scheduled drug at the time, and the judge took pity on us because we didn't have any priors or anything like that. So everything worked out, but still, nonetheless, if anybody's ever been locked up on that fucking jail door, that fucking cell door slams behind you, you're in that cold fucking cell with that steel toilet, it's an eye-opening experience. Biohazardtraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight. www.biohazardtraining.com is the blog. It's a jail cell bicep, but I'm glad I'm not there, and we're out.